Spirit of God, speak your word for us, that in hearing you, the veil will be lifted and we will be free. Amen. So the last 4 weeks of readings, beginning with Christmas, have all been readings about God revealed in the world. We started with Christmas, obviously. God become human. God coming into the world, revealed to the shepherds, revealed in a new way. The week after that, we had the story of the 12-year-old Jesus in the temple, revealing maybe to Mary for the first time a little bit about who he was, speaking to the elders of the temple and sort of showing that God was in this little 12-year-old child. And then Epiphany, the wise men coming and Jesus being revealed to the Gentiles. And last week, the baptism of Jesus. Jesus goes into the River Jordan, is baptized by his cousin John, and upon praying afterwards, the Spirit descends upon him and he is revealed. This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. It's a time of God being revealed to the world, and it is no different in the reading today. The miracle at Cana was Christ's first revelation of his mission of moving and acting in the world. And that's really what this gospel story is about. Jesus revealing the Spirit's presence in the world. But it's a strange, strange miracle. Unlike any that Jesus performs in all four Gospels. Think about the miracles that Jesus performs. What are they? They're amazing miracles. They're people who are being healed of blindness. People who can't walk being given the power to walk again. People who are possessed by demons being freed from that oppression. People being brought back to life. Lepers and the blind being healed and restored back to the community. These are extraordinary things, and yet John chooses, for the first miracle in Jesus' ministry, what seems like a parlor trick. Changing water into wine. Doesn't seem to quite match everything else that Jesus does. It really seems so unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Compared to a person who can't hear, or can't see, or has leprosy, it seems almost ridiculous. They ran out of wine at a wedding. Okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to be embarrassed. They're going to be talking about them a little bit for the next few weeks, what terrible hosts they are, and then they move on with their life. In John's Gospel, which is so highly theological, when Jesus had been discussed and pondered and thought about for 70 years by the time the Gospel was written, John leads off Jesus' mission with changing water to wine. It's about as far from life and death and healing as it comes. And when Mary comes to Jesus and says they ran out of wine, Jesus even seems confused. So what? What does it have to do with me and you? That's not our problem. But if we think about it for a minute, where does God first reveal God's self? At the birth of Jesus. Not to kings, not to leaders, not to the elite, but to the ordinary, common, unimpressive shepherds. So as strange as this first miracle appears, maybe it is most fitting, because it reveals God in the middle of something as ordinary as a wedding to solve a problem that in the big picture didn't mean a whole lot. Because God does reveal God's self in the common and the ordinary, but somehow we tend to miss it. See, we all need to see God. We all need to be reminded of God with us. The great thing is that God understands that. It's sort of like when a child wakes up in the middle of the night after a bad dream. They know that mom or dad are in the next room, or they're down the hall. They know that. But they want to see you. They want that assurance that you're there by coming to them. God gets that. God knows that we need reminders. And God does come to us. God shows us, I'm here. I'm making things happen. I'm here in the everyday, but I'm also here in the middle of the nightmares if you have the eyes to see. This past week, I'm sure many of us, if not all of us, are aware of the tragedy that happened 2 Fridays ago at the Rockville Center train station. where 18-year-old Ryan O'Shea's life ended in a flash. Now, I have to be honest with you, I have thought about this a lot this week, as I'm sure many of you have thought as well, especially those of us who have children around his age. We spoke about it at Mighty Youth last Sunday. We spoke about it at the confirmation retreat this weekend. As a parent, something like this doesn't just leave you, it haunts you. It's no doubt the greatest suffering and pain that any human being can endure in this lifetime. The peace, I believe, of your very being goes and it really never returns. And yet in the midst of that, I was reading an article in the Herald in the obituary section about Ryan. And his parents made a beautiful statement. A statement of all things, gratitude. What they said was, "You have all taken a little piece of the unbearable grief in our hearts and helped us carry it this week. With your love, you have helped us give Ryan back to God in the most beautiful way imaginable." That really moved me. The ability to see grace, the ability to see God moving and acting in other people in the middle of just the most horrible darkness and pain that anyone can endure. When it would be so easy to miss it, so easy and understandable to fold in on yourself, or even to blame God. And I thought to myself, if these people can see God in this never-ending nightmare, how can we miss God in our own pain and our own fear? See, God is all over this. In the ordinary, everyday stuff of life, and yes, even when our world seems to be collapsing around us. God moving and acting and revealing to us that the Spirit is indeed in the world. And the most common, everyday, unimpressive needs of this life, like wine at a wedding, but also in those life-changing, soul-crushing, spirit-emptying moments, the Spirit is there. Jesus, by his word and his faith, takes the ordinary plainness of water and makes it something exceptional, something joyful. God takes what we have that is ordinary and makes it extraordinary. As the Spirit takes ordinary bread and ordinary wine, the common stuff of everyday life, and elevates it to something more, something sacred, something changed forever, the body and blood of Christ. God can take the average nothing moments of our life and suddenly make them sacred, make them more than what we see them to be. Do we ever think that in an ordinary moment, maybe at the end of the day, when the kids are finally in bed, or things have finally settled down, and we have a few quiet moments with our other, and we realize how much we really do love this life of ours, how truly blessed and grateful we need to be. In those moments, that is God breaking through. That is God saying to you, I'm here in this time. This time is sacred. So it isn't only in the big newsworthy revelations, the things that are out of the ordinary stories, but the exceptional times and the unexceptional parts of our life that show us the face of God. They are what I call divine flashes, when suddenly God is there in the everyday, when God is revealed to us. It can be moments when we see, and sometimes we see our entire life in perspective, and we suddenly realize and understand what is truly important. Just as Christ was revealed through the changing of the ordinary to the extraordinary at a wedding. The Gospel says Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed. Sometimes that's how we come to faith, by those divine flashes in front of us. We reveal the Spirit when we are transformed, when we surrender to the Word. God is revealed to the world through us, through how we live, how we treat others. See, whatever God gives to us, ordinary, blessing, or pain, Whatever gifts and miracles, small or large, can be used to reveal God. In the second reading, the Corinthian community, the Corinthian church, felt that certain gifts that they were given were better than others. So if I have a certain gift given by God, then I'm better than you because that gift is better. What Paul was saying is absolutely not. Everything, as ordinary as it may seem, as unimpressive as it may seem, is from God and for God. Everything that we have that is good is from God. See, God is revealed in the everyday, but often we don't listen or see. Although it may seem like sometimes we're not some part of some divine hide and seek where we have to go seeking God. God wants to be found. And God shows up all the time. The Spirit is here watching over us and leading us. And when we see that, when we are aware, when God moves in our life, then we have to use that to reveal God to other people. Just like the O'Shea family did. In the midst of their tragedy and their pain, they were able to see God moving in the community around them. And because of their words, we see God as well. We see God revealed. They became, and we become, the water turned into wine. God in the ordinary. The extraordinary pulled from the common. And what happens is we become epiphany. Because when we see God, we reveal God, moving and acting in this world. As every day, as unimpressive as our life may seem, God is there. As painful and as difficult and as challenging, and as much as we may feel sometimes we are sinking beneath the waves, God is there. And God will show God's self if we stop and we ask and we listen. Amen.
Amen.
Be so.